Welcome, guys, to another Elevating Cancer Conversations. If you're watching the replay, whether you end up watching it on YouTube or wherever else, leave us a little comment. Let us know that you're watching. Whatever you're experiencing, whatever questions come up, we will always make sure that we drop back into those to make sure that we answer your questions, that you feel supported. But for today, we're having Hollie Fielder as a guest. She is an incredible, inspiring, fiery, gracious woman, fellow cancer coach, which is why I love connecting with her anyway. But we're both having very much of the same mindset, same thinking, same energy, and we just click. And I'm just very excited to jam with her today and bring her story to you because she has a very powerful, incredible story. But what's been happening over the past however many years, I think we just discovered over 6 years ago, she got diagnosed, had a 5% survival rate, and here she is today on the other side. So we're going to dive deep, have a little conversation. If you have any questions, like I said, please drop them in the comments because we're here for you. We're not just doing this for ourselves. We're mainly doing this for you. And let's jam. Hollie, welcome. I'm so excited. I'm going to quickly grab my phone because I don't think I'm able to see comments here. But you go and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, and thank you for having me here. I'm very excited. Like you said, it's awesome to connect with you. And like you said, it's also we're doing it for you guys out there. So I like to share my story to help other people know they're not alone and to know that sometimes it can be quite isolating, but you are not alone. And I like to share my story to shed light on the journey because it can be quite a heavy energy, and I found in myself in my journey just having that lighter, open mindset to it at all. So I guess I'm just going to drive straight in. I won't go too in depth, but I'll share it. So I was 24 when I was diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer and secondary liver cancer, and I was given that 5% chance to survive. At the time, I was living over in Western Australia, and I'm originally from the Central Coast of New South Wales. So at that time, I was over there and with my now ex-partner. All my family was still here in New South Wales, but they came over for my chemotherapy and my surgeries. But it was one of those things that was really hard for me to explain to them how I was feeling. And I know it was hard for them to not be there as well, but it was one of those things that through my journey, I learned that I had to be independent and it was up to me to get through this journey. And so going through the bowel surgery, I remember being told I had to have bowel surgery. I was like, I'm not having a stoma. They're like, well, you're going to have one. I was like, no, I'm not having one. You're not going to give me one. They're like, you're going to have one. I was like, no, I won't. So the first thing I did when I woke up from surgery was feel my stomach, and I didn't have a stoma. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. That was the biggest thing. It was how I explain it is when I got told I had 5% chance to survive, I was like, all right, what have I got to do? They're like, oh, but this. And I was like, no, tell me what I got to do. And I was like, just from that point forward, I was like, I'm going to do anything I can to be in that 5%, to prove them wrong, to get better, because I've been there was this knowing inside me that I was going to be okay. And when people ask me how I did it, I'm like, I just knew, and I never gave myself an option to quit, to feel sorry for myself. It was just get up and do it. And it ignited this inner strength, this inner resilience, this courage, I never knew I had. And it's like going through that is a blessing in disguise because I connected to this part of myself I never knew I had. And, going through chemotherapy and liver surgery, it's so challenging on your body, but you're in those deep, dark moments of your life and you find this part of yourself you never knew you had, and you can be kind and you can be this inner belief that I'm going to be okay no matter how hard it is and how much support you've got around you. It's always going to be up to you to find that light, and you've got that power of the mind and the power of that choice to focus on what's going good rather than what's not rather than what the numbers, the statistics that they're telling you. You don't have to latch onto that and label yourself that. You can detach from that and find your way and get through it. And no matter what they're saying to me, they still tell me 5 years means nothing to me. But I'm like, hey, mate, I'm now 5.5 years cancer free. That means something to me. And I'm moving forward, and I still have 6-month colonoscopies, and I'm still under surveillance, but I'm healthy and I'm happy and I'm alive and I'm here. And I love sharing my story because people think bowel cancer is an old person's disease. And it's not an old person's disease because since sharing my story, I've seen so many people under the age of 30, under the age of 40 who have had bowel cancer, and I've had a lot of friends pass away from it. And like, it's not an old person's disease, and it's taking that stigma that poo's embarrassing, poo's disgusting. You know, we all go to the toilet, we all do it. Like, it's part of our body processing that waste out of our system. Like, it's part of life, and that's something that I really loved about my journey, is connecting to my body and seeing how magical it is and how amazing it is, and appreciating all the stuff it does for us.
Yeah.
That's like really rough around the edges journey, but obviously if you have questions, people have questions, I will dive more into it. But it's definitely knowing that the journey itself is, cancer can be, the disease itself is horrible, but the journey is something that you can create magic in, you can move forward in a happier, lighter way, rather than like that heaviness of it. And that's how I moved through it, was that power of my mindset and waking up every single day going, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be okay, everything's going to be okay, today's going to be a good day. And that's when I was like, the mind is such a powerful thing if we really choose to switch those thoughts. And like, the thoughts can heal us or they can hurt us, and it's like, you know, tapping into that healthy side of it.
Definitely. And like, I love what you say there, because our thoughts have a frequency and everything vibrates. Everything in the end in the whole universe is energy. Our thoughts as well have a frequency. So they can either empower us or they can bring us down. And what do you choose at the beginning of each day? How do you choose to move into that day? What are some small things? Because you say like every day you stepped into that mindset. How did you, because there's always hard days. There's always those days where you're like, this is darker than the darkest. Like, how do I do this? In those moments, what helps you most in keeping your vision towards that 5% survival?
I kind of set myself on mini goals. So when I was going through chemotherapy, my mini goal was in that 2 weeks. So I would go into hospital for like about 6 hours and have a treatment there. I was actually allergic to one of the treatments that I got, so I had an allergic reaction the first time I had chemo. So I had to have a lot of Nergan and all the any meds just to stop that coming up again. And then I had a port in my chest too, which I went home with the drug for 48 hours. So I was attached to a bum bag for 48 hours at home. And my goal was, no matter how sick I was, no matter how tired I was, my goal was to get to the next blood test and my markers be healthy enough so I didn't miss the next round of chemo, because I was like, if I missed a round of chemo, that would be a setback, and I didn't want to take any risks. So I would make myself eat, I'd make myself drink water, I'd make myself go for a walk. When I say make, that was like my intention, that I knew I would feel better for eating, because my body needed fuel and needed that food. And no matter how sick, I was like, I'm going to eat. And, you know, drinking, I couldn't eat cold things. I couldn't drink cold things because it was a reaction. A side effect from my treatment was anything cold would give me an anaphylactic shock. So my mouth would swell up, my tongue would swell up. I'd get like my knives were touching my hands and my feet when I would touch things cold. So I'd literally have to hold my throat like this and scull water or scull tea, because it was like a nodule in my throat that was like scratching. It was such a hard thing, but I was like, I've got to do it because my body needs fluid. So I was like, whatever way I could, would just hold it and just scull my water. And I knew getting out in nature with my dogs, even if it was just to sit outside and walk 100 meters, I knew I would get some sort of grounding energy. I knew that I'd be happier than laying in bed and feeling sorry for myself. And, you know, I still would sit at home and rest and listen to my body. But those were like the three things I knew, that moving my body and like filling it with healthiness was it, and sitting there and telling myself positive affirmations every morning.
That's amazing. And it's so tangible, and it's so, those little small actions can go such a long way. And what I love most is the mindset of, yes, I might not feel like it now. However, I know what it will benefit me in the future. I know what is on the other side of this. Even though I don't want to drink or eat right now, I know what's on the other side. And that is a step closer to those small, tiny goals. So you keep creating small achievements, and our mind loves little victories.
Yeah. And I was like, looking at the big end goal, it was so overwhelming. Like before getting told I had my bowel surgery and then I had more MRIs, and they were like, oh, we don't think we can operate on your the liver, it's just going to be, maintenance chemo. And like getting told that, and I was like, it didn't even get a chance to sink in before the liver surgeon was like, nah, if this chemo shrinks the tumours, I'm going to operate on you. And that was just like another goal. All right, cool. My goal now is if I can shrink these tumours myself with the chemo, I'm going to have surgery, and that's another chance for me to get to that 5%. So I was like having those many goals, and I became my goal was to get better, and my goal was to do anything I could. And I was like, every single day I was like, blood test is going to be good, you're going to have market. Like, it was just one of those things I told myself, and that was kind of like a healing. It's like Louise Hay, I never knew who that was until I went through this journey, and I was like, she did it herself, and it's so true now. All these signs point to like that power, the way we speak to ourselves, and I get something happens, I'll think something and it will happen. I'm like, oh, it's scary, because it's so true. You manifest that sort of stuff, and like I thought I had my cancer for 5 years before it was even found. I would have been 19, and I'm like, that's scary to even think that had been inside me for 5 years until they found it. It was crazy.
How did that make you feel when you heard that?
I was scared. I was shocked. I was like, it took about 2 years to actually, like, from being a GP to getting diagnosed, took about 2 years. So I kept going in the constant bout, like stomach pains, bloating, low iron, white cell count really low, and they kept saying it's just irritable bowel, we'll just test you for celiac. I went into emergency. They thought it was girl problems, as they always test you for girl problems. And because Mum has a Crohn's disease, like, all right, we'll put you in for colonoscopy. And that's when they found the tumour blocking my bowel. And I was like, right, what does that mean? And then the doctor's like, I think you have cancer. I was like, what do you mean you think? Like, what does that mean? And even when he told me that, I was just like, what do I do? It's so hard. Like, it rocks you, but it's like, what have I got to do? And it's one of those things, like, I never thought I'd have to have a blood test. I never thought I'd have to be that person who have to go in and out of hospital. But that's the thing, is like, you never know what's around the corner, and it's really made me appreciate life, right, like in every single moment, because you just don't know what you're going to wake up to tomorrow.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you see the power and the strength it gave you, and the depths in your being and your presence into the life that it has given you.
Yeah.
How do you see that journey now going back?
Going through it?
Yeah.
I would not change a thing, because I feel I was meant to be where I was at that time, because the doctors, the nurses, the surgeons went above and beyond for me at that hospital. And I was with a really bad partner at the time, and I knew it, but I didn't see it until I was actually until I actually got sick. And he turned into this person that left me in hospital by myself. He wouldn't cook dinner. He wouldn't, like, clean the house. He wouldn't walk the dogs. Like, he literally was like, I can't go to the hospital. I can't sit here. I'm not going to be with you. He'd go out and get drunk. And it was just like these behaviours kept showing up, and it made me even stronger to be independent and realise that I don't need people to help me get through it. As sad as that sounds, like, I had my support with my parents and that were there, but it was a blessing in disguise looking back, and how much I overcame and how much I got through, no matter all the other shit that was going on. I wouldn't change it, because I wouldn't be who I am without that journey. I wouldn't have this appreciation for life. I wouldn't know that I deserve love, that I deserve worthiness in a partner, like in myself. It was the appreciation of my body. I look back at that journey now, I'm like, people always say to me, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm like, you say that, and if it actually happened, you would do it, because it's your life, and you would find a way to get through it, no matter what it is, and no matter how hard it is. And yes, it's hard, and sometimes you're on your knees going, what the actual fuck is going on? But in those moments, you just go, I can do it. What's one little step I can do today to get forward? Even if it means crawling from the bedroom to the lounge room, that's something. That's an achievement, like, even if it means swallowing a piece of toast. Like, it's those little I celebrated every single victory I had along the way. Nothing was silly. Like, it was celebrating everything, because I was at one step closer. I was climbing that mountain, and it was like getting to those little peaks, because it means you're getting somewhere.
I love that consistent commitment. Is that consistency in every single small detail of everything that you do is like, what is going to move me forward? What is going to be the little step? What do I have today? What do I have to give today? have available for me to move forward and have little victories. And that's so powerful. How was it for you? Because you take those steps and steps and steps and steps, and there's constantly this goal and this getting to the other side, getting into the 5%. How was it then transitioning into getting to the other side? I always find it hard to phrase that, because really, like, what is, like, I still, even in all my conversations, I'm not sure yet how to properly phrase which captivates what really goes on. But you get the gist when I'm saying, like, afterwards.
Well, it's funny you say it. Like, I remember the days clear. It's clear as can be. I was booked in for a PET scan, and I was absolutely, like, I was making myself sick because I was so stressed and anxious because, you know, you go into a room, you sit there for a whole hour, they inject a dye into you, you can't move, and then your brain just ticks and ticks and ticks, and then you go in and you have your scan. And I remember going, I need to go. The doctor's like, can you take these pins out? I was like, I just need to go. You need to take it out. I need to go. I was so nervous. But I look back and I'm like, maybe it was the excitement that I knew it was over, but it was a fear of, like, oh my God, I'm not going to have this support. Who am I going to be without the hospital? Who am I going to be without? Who am I going to be again? And anyway, I got a phone call that afternoon from my cancer nurse. She's like, I've got some good news and bad news. And I was like, she's like, the good news is we're not going to have to see you. You're cancer free. And I was like, what? She's like, the bad news is I'm not going to see you anymore. And I was like, you still see me. But I was alone at that phone call. My family was all here on the Central Coast, and it was like one of those times when, like, it's so exciting, but it's like, what? Like, it's I don't even know how to word it, because, like, you get this news of that you've been working so hard for, but then it's like this journey now is like, what do I do now? I've had a year's worth of constant supervision, being told what to do, being told to get these appointments, to get needles every single day. Who am I? Like, all right, cool, we see you in 2 months for your next checkup. And I'm like, okay. And then you're living in fear, waiting every 2 months. Because I had 2 monthly appointments for about a year and a half leading out. So it was blood test and scan every 2 months. And it was just like this spiral of anxiety of just, like, waiting for results. Like, does it come back? What's it going to show? What are they? Like, it was this heaviness, and it was this no guidance. I was like, does everybody experience this? What's actually happening? Like, I don't actually, this is scary. I thought it was meant to be, like, exciting, and then your friends disappear, people start reaching out to you. And because I didn't process the emotional side through the actual cancer journey, I was just, like, in survival mode, got to get it done. I was like, how do I turn survival mode off? I've been in it for so long. How do I turn it off? I didn't know how to turn it off. And my body found a way to say, stop, like, trying to get back to work, trying to keep up, make up for lost time, I was 24, I had just turned 25. I was like, I couldn't make up for lost time. All my friends are having babies. They're all getting married. They're all doing this. And I'm breaking up with my partner. Like, it was just an overload of these things. And I ended up having, like, a massive mental, like a breakdown. I thought I was having a stroke, and my whole left side went numb, and I was just, my body was like, you need to let emotion out at some point, and you need to process, you need to slow down, you need to just heal. And I was on that survival mode of run, trying to, you know, and it just was like, nah. And it was really, like, clear to me that the cancer journey is hard, but you have so much support. And it's the after, when you don't know who you are, you don't know who to reach out to, nobody understands. How can you get people to understand when they ask how you are, but they don't actually want to know when you actually say, I'm not good. They go, well, nah, too much. And it's like, I'm still learning it, but I've come so far in it. It's just like, it's hard. And it's one of those things. It's like, I want people to know that you're not alone in that side of the journey, and it's hard. And that's why I want to do that coaching side for that as well, because I can walk it, and I want you to know that you guys can get through it, and with the right support, and that you've got the cheerleaders, and you're not crazy. And, you know, anxiety is a real thing, but you don't have anxiety. Like, you experience it. It's like a fear that's inside you of, like, because you don't know what's going to come. It's that fear of the unknown. You don't know what is going to come, but, creating extra worry and stress only makes this situation worse, and it only exhausts you even more, and that puts that extra stress on your body. So it's definitely something that I pushed a lot of people away as well, because I was like, nobody understands. I don't have the energy for it. I just, nah. And it was just, I became so internal again, and it was another learning curve for me to, like, again, moving forward and find the right people. And I tried psychologists, I tried counselors to deal with it. And I found somebody who was more of a coach for me, and actually was like having a conversation like this. There was no clinical, I couldn't do that. I needed somebody who was like a friend and just spoke to me and treated me like I was a human, not somebody who had cancer.
Yeah.
And it was like, people looking at you and saying, oh, you look really good. But inside you freaking out, I've still got my skin broke out and all these, like, I never had bad skin, but my skin broke out and all these pimples and things. And, you still had side effects from chemo, and it's one of those things I could talk for hours about, but it's like you're never alone on that journey, guys, and nothing is crazy. And like us both here are trying to hold space for people to know that it is another journey in itself. It is another mountain to climb, and it's setting those many goals. And you can't, like, getting back to work, getting back, managing fatigue, exhaustion, all those things that come with it. And it's definitely something that was hard.
Definitely.
That's something I won't lie about. It was hard.
No, and it's definitely, that's why we both are so passionate about coaching, and especially coaching in this process. Of course, therapy and psychology and counseling, like, all of that has its place. However, taking actions and navigating the journey of the future, that's what I believe the coaching does very well. Yeah. And all of those are needed in different stages and at different points. But what I've found, and what I'm hearing you say as well, is coaching really helps you navigate that journey moving forward. Yeah. And it's so important. What has been maybe 2-3 things that really supported you in that, of like, okay, discovering who I am now, where do I go next? And how do you get out of, I mean, it's a lot in one, but getting out of that isolation. Because let's maybe rewind. Figuring out who you are. Let's start, I'll remember them, hopefully. Let's start with that one. Figuring out, like, okay, who am I now after this cancer journey? Because like you say, you discovered things about yourself and depths in yourself that you never realized you had.
Yeah, and finding who I was, I didn't actually know who I was.
No.
And after it, that's when I was like, I thought the cancer, like, this, but then after it, I was a completely new person, because I had discovered all this new stuff about myself, and I was like, how do I move forward, knowing I'm not the Hollie before cancer, I'm not the Hollie during cancer, I'm this new person. And it was really overwhelming to be like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to go back to the job that was so stressful. I'm moving back to my parents. Like, it was really confronting, and it was going back to those little things that I was like, what actually brings me joy? How can I slow down? Who are the people that give me space to just be me, and don't just, they treat me for me, and not just, they don't want to just talk about the cancer. They just want to talk about, maybe they want to support me. Literally for me, watching the sunrise was something I made. Mum and Dad, like, I lived at Mum and Dad's just up the road, and watching the sunrise just gave me this, like, grounding feeling every single morning, and it gave me a purpose for the day, to sit there with intentions like, I'm going to be okay, I am okay. And I still told myself that every single day, I'm okay, I am healthy, everything's going to be okay. And the more I said it, the more I started to believe it, and managing those anxieties. And, before I even got to that stage of managing anxieties, I turned to eating, comfort eating. Mm-hmm. And that was just because I didn't know how to, everything wanted to come up, and I'm like, no, we should get down. And it was until I got to that point, I was like, this is not healthy. And because I was so isolated, I was like, you've got to find these things. It's like, I've got to do it myself. And if I'm not going to speak to people around me, who am I going to speak to? And reaching out and knowing that it's not weak to speak up, and it's not weak to seek help, and it's not weak if you need to take medication, to take medication. Like, none of that is weak. And I told myself it was. So I was so resistant against it. And, finding this boyfriend who support who I have now, who was like, I'm going to help you get off any anxiety tablets because I know you don't like him. He's like, I'll help you, I'll guide you, and I'll be there. And I was like, who's this person? And he helped me, and I was like, the more I surrendered to the journey, the more of the right people came into my life, and the less the other ones drifted away. And my life became, people who I hadn't seen for like years and years came into my life. And at a fundraiser, they're like, I'll help you make cakes for your cake store. I was like, what? I have not seen you for like 10 years. And ever since then, they've been one of my best supporters. And it was like, opening up and surrendering to, I need help with the right supporters. And it was like that big surrendering and just stopping and slowing down and knowing that you don't have to make up for lost time. And that was a big thing, is like, the time is now. I can't change the past. I can't change the future I've got right now. How can I make the most of my days right now to move forward? And it was literally surrounding myself with the right people and slowing down and going to nature. And that was my big thing, is nature. Yeah. And asking myself what I wanted to do. So I did some course studies. Like I did my fitness ones and wellness coaching. And that's kind of how I was like, well, how can I help people now? And I was stepping in and sharing my story and working, like, for advocating for Bowel Cancer Australia, sharing my story in that way, because that's how I could help more people, and that gave me joy. Is the more I speak about my story, the more it healed me.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I know some people don't like to share their story, but if you don't like to speak up about it, like, record videos on your phone for yourself, so you can kind of heal it in yourself. You're speaking out about your journey, or if you don't like to speak, write it down. I'm more of a speaker than a writer. Journaling. I never was a journaler, but I was always 3 things I was grateful for every single day. I would either text a friend or put it in my notes, but it wasn't just what I was grateful for, it was why I was grateful. So instead of saying I'm grateful for life, why are you grateful for life? Or why, like, I'm grateful for my health, okay, but why are you grateful for your health? It just took it to that deeper level. It's so easy to say I'm grateful for house, family, friends, okay, but why? And it just gets you on that deeper, more level. And some days when it was really hard, it's like, I'm just grateful the sun came out today. I'm grateful for the fresh air because it gives me oxygen to breathe. It was just really took it back to those little things to appreciate life.
I love that. Like, and that's what I've been sitting with. Like, it's so easy because everyone's like, yeah, do your gratitudes. And we don't want it to be another thing to check off the list of like, yeah, I'm grateful for this and this and this. And I love how you add that in, that deeper layer, because as soon as you go to why, you turn into actually experiencing that gratitude, that feeling, that sensation of gratitude. And that's what it's all about. It's not about, can you find things to be grateful for? Can you experience that gratitude? And that is that frequency, that feeling that is going to just change your state and view on life.
And that's how I kind of developed my relationship back to my body again, was the sense of deep gratitude, because I disconnected the scars on my body because of my ex was saying nobody's going to love you because you've had cancer, nobody will love you because you've got scars. So I allowed those thoughts to become mine. I disconnected this part of my body and loathed it. But you know what? That part of my body is a strong story. It holds a story, and it's my scars, and it's served a big part of my journey. It's who I am. It's part of who I am, and I fucking love it now. Like I've learned to look in the mirror and not or just not even look at it. Like it's part of me, and going through all that part is really allowed me to know that I'm in control of my thoughts, and I don't have to let other people's thoughts become mine, and that I can choose to love and feel accepted and loved in my body, and no matter what anybody says about it.
That's amazing. Good. Oh, I love this. I love this so much. It's so juicy.
I could keep talking. I haven't said this, but I don't want to.
I know. Maybe we'll do a little thing. You never know what might come after this. One of the things that I wanted to touch on, you touched on it briefly about whatever was happening for you on the inside and what people's experiences on the outside of you. And we had a question as well when I posted that we were going to do this about the invisible illnesses and what's going on behind the scenes. Could you talk into that a little bit, and especially also around the loneliness that you were experiencing? Because I know so many people that are experiencing that isolation of but you don't know. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And how does that play, and how can you break that isolation?
Yeah. So the isolation part first. Literally every single time I see a nurse or a nurse, still to this day, I get told, I'm too young, but you're so young. And it happened every single time I had to see a new nurse or doctor, and they're like, what's your story? What's happened? Oh, but you're so young, but you're too young. And then, walking around the wards of the hospital, there are old people over 80s, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only person who has bowel cancer at this age. Oh my God, I'm so young. And I developed this idea in my head that I am alone, that I am the only one. And it wasn't until I was like, you got to speak up. You can't assume people don't know. Like, if you don't use your voice, people aren't going to know. And that was a big thing. Is like, we've got this voice, and using my voice has helped me reach a lot of people to know my story, how it felt, and it helped other people know that they're not alone as well. So that was my way of kind of getting out of the isolation, is speaking up and sharing my story, no matter how hard it was, whether I just shared a little bit, whether I shared a lot. And that really helped me know that I am not alone, because the amount of people that would reach out, or the people that connected with me, is because they were going through something similar, and at the age of like 20 or 30, and they were having bowel cancer. And it was crazy, the people, that little spiral of speaking up and using our voice, because, if we don't communicate, we can't assume people to know. And that was a big thing. It's like, it's such a common thing that we just assume people don't care, or we assume they don't understand. But if we don't give them a chance to understand as well, how can we, we're kind of being a bit of a judge of that. So that was something, if I didn't speak up, how could somebody understand what I was feeling or going through? And coming down to the invisible illness thing, it's really hard to, my coming back to this, like, gratitude, is that people don't know what to say to us. People don't know how to treat us, and it's hard for them to know what to say, and they freak out because they think they have to treat us differently. And, by saying we look really well, even though we're not, that's their intention to make us feel good. And, I try not to bash on people for not knowing what to say, because if I know sometimes when something happens, I'm like, I don't know what to say to you right now. I'm here for you. If you need to chat, if you need someone to listen, I'm here for you. And that's kind of, I say that because I'm like, I want that. I wish I had that for me, is knowing that you don't have to talk about what's going on. I'll just be your friend, just having that support, and just, reaching out to people and saying, hey, I just want to talk. I just need a day of not thinking about what's going on. I need to feel normal, in those situations, is just to go and have a wine. People would say, oh, you have cancer in your liver, you're drinking. I'm like, so what? The first thing I asked my liver surgeon was like, can I have a drink? He's like, of course you can. He's like, and everyone was like, but I'm like, see, you can't judge because you don't know what's going on. And I was like, I've asked my liver surgeon, I'm allowed to have a drink, and I'm 24 and I'm still want to live life, and I'm not cutting restrictions. And it was like, speaking up about that. It's like, I've done posts about, like, yes, I do drink. Yes, I've had cancer in my liver, but my liver grew back after I had surgery. I felt it grow back, and I'm okay. I'm allowed to have that. And it's about balance. And, with invisible illness, I would just, going out with my bum bag and things like that, people stare at you, and it's like, they don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in their life. And it's taking that deep breath and knowing that not everybody's going to understand the journey. Not everybody's going to get it. We can't expect them to get it because they haven't walked in our shoes like we haven't walked in their shoes. So it's like, we all have this different journey, and, it's using that voice to connect to people who do get it in a similar way, so that you're not alone. And that's what I like what we're doing. We collaborate, we share, because you find people who get what you're going through, and it's easy. And if you have to force it, it's not worth your energy. And like I said, I didn't lose my hair or anything like that, so people were always saying how good I looked, and it was like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and I feel sick, but thank you. And it's like, just thanking them for their compliment and try and say, okay, cool, that's a good thing, I do look good. Even though they don't know what's going on inside, cool, I still look good. I'm not feeling like I don't look like shit, It's being really kind and just having empathy and compassion for those people too, because they're hurting by seeing you, what you're going through their journey. We don't know what it feels like to see somebody else suffer.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be the brave ones, and we're trying to be strong for everybody else. And that's what I found, is I had to be the strong and the brave one, and that was really hard because I thought if I crumbled, then everybody else would crumble, and I didn't want to see everybody else crumble. So I was like, hold it together, get that piece of glue, and everything will be okay. But if I kind of allowed myself to crumble, maybe I would have healed a bit more in that journey. So it was like a lesson to know where I was blindsided. I didn't know how to do it because I had never done it before. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what to do, and it's, learning. And if you're going through this and you're struggling, connect with people in a healthy Facebook group, not an energy that's draining. Like, find people, reach out to us, and you're not alone on this journey, and you're never alone, and no question, no issue is silly. Like, you'll find your way. You have the answer inside of you, and you know how to get through it. And it's tapping into that inner belief and that thoughts and finding a way, asking for help, getting second opinions, and you'll find your way through it.
Definitely. And that's the thing, like, real strength comes from opening up and sharing, and also not being attached to the other person's response, because like you say, like, they don't know what to say either. Like, me having lost my dad to cancer, and then one of my best friends losing her dad to cancer, I sometimes didn't know what to say, even though a year before that I went through the exact same thing. And I'm so good at communicating and all of that, but just when the moment there, it is just beyond words sometimes. And that is okay. And everyone does the best that they can. Everyone is doing the best they can. And sometimes we don't know what it hits within them. Like you say, we don't know their story. They don't know, because literally no one is 24 hours full time in your head or in your body. You're the only one in there experiencing everything that you're experiencing and thinking and feeling. So we can never judge. However, what you can do, like you say, is just opening up and sharing a bit more.
Knowing, like, doing what's best for you and listening to your body, and not telling, it's really hard in this space because you're so used to people telling you what you need to do and you should be doing this. But just keep in mind that you have every right to do what you want to do as well. And you don't have to listen to everyone and say, you should do this, you should be doing this, you should rest, you should eat this. Just ground yourself for a moment, ask yourself what do you need and what do you want to do and what's best for you, because you have every right. It's your body, and you, no matter what, you still have a choice over what happens to your body, what they do, what they put in you. Like, I denied blood tests 6 times because I was like, I can't have another one. My veins are that shot. I need a break. Like, you have every right to say no and speak up with that voice, ask what they're giving you in your body. And that was a big thing, is like knowing what's going on rather than just like this. You have every right to question. I question everything. What does this mean? What does that mean? Because you want to kind of know what's happening to your body. So yes, they're the professionals. Yes, they're trained, but it's your body that they're working on. It's your body that they're putting things on. And to make time to slow down and to heal and to feel, I would 100% say don't have to hold it together all the time, because it will catch up to you. It caught up to me, and it was scary. Healing is feeling, and I've said that so many times. The more you resist, the more it'll persist. Like, those things are so easy to say, but listen to yourself, because deep down in there, you know what's right for you. You have that answer. And I always take myself back to that journey when I forget, because I was so in tune with what was going on and the power of myself and the power of the mind, and that flow is like, you can tap into it. And the anxiety, you don't have it. It's just a fear of it. Like, it's something you're experiencing. You experience joy, you experience happiness, you're experiencing anxiety. Try not to give yourself another label that you've got anxiety.
Yeah.
You experience it. Like, you're experiencing cancer. Like, you know what I mean? Try not to give you those labels. Attach those labels away, because you're still the same fucking awesome person in that body. You just got a challenge to climb at the moment, and you will get through it, and make the most of everything with you, and find those right people around you, and celebrate every single milestone. Like, I mean, celebrate everything. I don't care. Throw yourself a party, whatever it is, celebrate it, because it makes it feel awesome. It makes the journey so much lighter.
Definitely. And that's one of the main things that I'm about as well, like making it lighter. Because if you're going to have to go through it, we might as well do it with a little bit of a smile, as much as it's here and everything involved. And just let's do it together. Yeah, for sure. Oh, thank you so much. Guys, you can find Hollie. She's, of course, tagged in these posts. She will be hanging around this group. If you have any questions anywhere, let either of us know and we'll get back to you. And your Instagram is at Hollie
Underscore fielder. Yeah.
yeah, underscore and then fielder.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.